What's this chap's name? James.
Yep.
James.
He's just come online, actually. I should probably invite him again.
Should we have a guess at what kind of regional accent he's got?
Okay, I'm looking at him from his very small Skype picture. I'm going to say... I think he's a Londoner.
What, from me?
Yeah, we're trying to guess what regional dialect you'd be.
Well, I'm born and bred in the Midlands, but I think I've escaped the Brummie twang.
All right, Skip. Hello and welcome to the AVForums Gaming Podcast. I am, of course, Steve Hill, and we're doing something a little bit new this month. We've all been playing a game called Threes, and the scores are in. I'm going to introduce everyone in order of their score. So joining me, as always, is Niall Gill. Hello, Niall.
I saw that coming. Hello.
You got 969.
No, I didn't. I sent you it. I sent you my updated score. I got... Right, I'll just tell you, because it's not that much of a difference. I got 1,095.
In the grand scheme of things, mate, I can tell you this really doesn't make a massive difference.
Well, I got 4 digits, so I'm kind of happy.
Coming in at third is Mark Botteright. Hello, Mark.
Well, at least I wasn't last.
You weren't last. 2,844.
I think that's respectable.
How do you even get that? That's crazy.
You've heard nothing yet. Coming in at second place, Leon Matthews. Hello, Leon.
No! What? Yes! The new boy cannot beat me.
Start as you mean to go on.
Oh, damn it.
Leon, you got a score of 7,788.
What?
I thought that was good enough to win. I honestly did.
It was a beastly score, and I cracked the joke off air earlier that when you sent it through, I said I wanted your score, not your phone number. Beastly. But in first place, the new kid, James Thomas.
Hello.
21,096.
What? Oh, dear God. How on earth is that even possible?
He's a ringer.
This is what happens when you spend the entirety of Monday playing Threes.
The first savants we've had on the podcast. James, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the team.
Hiya.
You've just joined the writers and reviews team. You've put a few articles and reviews up. Well, you've been quite busy, I think, actually, of late.
Yeah, got the bug of it in the last few weeks, so we're striking while the iron's hot.
So, Leon, tell us about Threes. How did you find this game? Because we kind of came up with this idea out of nowhere early this week. I didn't even get round to playing the game, and I promise you I wouldn't have got anywhere near Niall's score, let alone James's. But is this going to be a regular thing? Should we do this often? It was quite good fun, wasn't it?
Can we choose a non-maths-based game next time?
Yeah, please.
I've got to say, that put me off massively.
It was playing and learning. Ugh.
Edutainment.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you didn't know what 3 plus 3 was before we played?
It's 1 plus 2 that got me.
But no, yeah, Threes... I don't know where I came across it, to be honest. In my infinite skiving from my day job, I came across something which said there was this really addictive little number game, which is just sliding numbers across a board and making multiples of 3, and I started playing it, and I was quite addicted, and I wanted a valid reason to play it, so I thought I'd make you guys play it.
I think it's all the rage at the moment, isn't it? I think a snapshot of the iStore just seems to be a clone of Flappy Birds or a clone of Threes, so it seems to be the in-app at the moment.
Okay, fair enough.
Wasn't it you brought Cookie Clicker to our door as well?
Again, I don't do a lot of work. No, I do. Sorry, my boss who's listening. Oh, can we dedicate this episode to the Ultimate Warrior, by the way?
Oh,
Why?
yeah.
Yeah, sad news.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he passed away
I thought he
overnight.
died years ago.
No. He was just in WrestleMania this weekend, and then...
He looked good.
Because he hasn't come back for a long time. Most of these wrestlers come out of retirement time and time again, but I like the Ultimate Warrior because he stayed pure in my mind. He didn't come back and sully the memories I had
It's
of him.
always sad
True.
when someone you had an action figure of dies. When
It's one of those
Mr. T
sobering
finally
moments.
goes, I'm going to cry.
Someone stole my my Mr. T. I had an action figure of Mr.
Oh,
not
they were
not Mr. T.
fantastic.
Sorry,
Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, because his legs were stuck together. He couldn't. He basically
No.
just did his.
You had to
his-
press
his-
down on the back and then he'd spring up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and someone stole it.
Oh, did you have the ones as well with his arms went up
Yep.
and down?
I think I had.
Yep.
That.
Jake the Snake had him. He used to punch. He'd pull the arm back and it would spring. Hulk Hogan did his chest.
I was never a Hulk Hogan fan.
Yeah, I wasn't a Hulk Hogan fan either. He ripped his vest off. Okay, great, cheers.
Brilliant. Yeah, he looked old back then.
I think he was at WrestleMania as well,
He was back
wasn't
in it. Yeah, I'm sure he was. So were we all wrestling fans at one point or another, or still are?
What do you mean were? I have to say mine's an annual event now. It's usually WrestleMania once a year. Go down to Cheltenham, catch up with my brother. We have a wrestling evening. Watching, not doing.
I used to be a big fan of the Royal Rumble and the Survivor Series. I thought the Survivor Series was really good fun because you would get crews teaming up. So who did we have one in? We had Mr. Perfect, the Heart Foundation, and then someone else. And that was just like my dream team.
Who were the two blokes with the spiked armour?
Oh,
The
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. They were
yeah.
fantastic.
They were good.
I don't know, just been down to some sports shops and then just DIY'd it onto.
Yeah.
Well, they basically had.
I was all about the tables, ladders, and chairs matches.
Oh, proper late
Tables,
90s
ladders
stuff.
and chairs.
Yes.
Yeah, late 90s
Yeah.
was me, like D-Generation X, Hardy Boys. That was my era of wrestling.
I think that was the pinnacle.
Yeah, it was good times. Eddie Guerrero, rest in peace.
They don't survive long, do they, after they've retired?
All the bloody steroids.
You can only get hit in the head so many times. To be fair.
with a steel chair. We can't not talk about Facebook buying Oculus.
Has anyone else tried it? I know Bennett had a go.
Used one last year. Haven't had one. Haven't had a go in a while.
Where at? Was this a trade show or game show or?
It was Rezzed and at Gamescom. So Rezzed, it was Ether 1, little indie game that I think's just been released. And then at Gamescom it was Eve Valkyrie, which was really nice.
So tell us about it. Was it comfy to wear? Was the experience good?
Yeah, because I wear glasses, it was a bit weird because they haven't really got that fine tuning, or at least not for when the hordes come to play it at game shows. And so it pressed quite against my face, glasses into the face. So it wasn't the most comfortable of experiences, but I think they assure you it's got different lenses and different tweaking. So if you've got more time to set your own up, then you can reconfigure it. But once got past that, it was. You sort of forgot you were wearing it for a while because they put massive cans on you, so obliterated all the outside noise and just filled your ears with the in-game sound. And I have to say, I really want one. I just want Oculus to pull their finger out and get a consumer version out there, because I think what they did with it, especially Eve, was superb. Because moving around, I think you really start noticing that you're in a VR world. But because in Eve Valkyrie you're in a ship, that sense of motion and movement is, you sort of forgive it because you're controlling the ship, and so you're not walking around. You can understand why you're sitting down. But what it adds is when all the fighters are zipping around, usually you'd just be sat in your cockpit flicking the stick around trying to look. But it just becomes second nature. So when a fighter buzzes right past you, you just feel your head flicking back as you try and watch it go past, and it's then you realise you're just completely immersed in the world. It's wonderful.
So this is Eve, as in Eve Online.
Yeah, Eve Valkyrie. It's basically a dogfighting game.
It's a
using
spin-off.
some of the ships.
I was going to
It's
say
not the
Eve
Eve
is
that
not
you.
that exciting.
No. It's not the Eve that you played, dude.
There was 474 hours before that where I just sat mining an asteroid. But
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what? Where are these chips coming zooming past you? Aren't you just like looking at a spreadsheet going, the price of ore in the next sector is
but a
little bit lower
first-person
than last year."
spreadsheet is amazing.
Yeah, very true.
The threes are so big.
Immersive. So how long did you wear it for?
It was a very rushed-through demo, so I think both times I only wore it for about 5-10 minutes. And I was completely fine with it. I know a few people have had problems with motion control, but the only time I had issues was in the Ether 1 demo. It seemed like it's almost set in a Fable-type world, so lots of trees and wooden buildings and countryside. The only time I had problems when I decided to push it slightly and try and jump off the top of a stairwell. And then my brain went, "Oh, what's going on here?" As you obviously fall down, but your brain doesn't.
5-10 minutes is not a long time though to be playing a game. You know, if you're gonna sit and play a game of an evening, I mean, what's fair to say? An hour and a half? If you're Leon, 3 or 4.
What are you trying to say?
You're very dedicated. So, I mean, is it feasible that you could wear it for that amount of time? I think probably not, no?
Well, it depends, because I think everyone gets immersed in games. I think no matter I think it's got to depend on the game itself, because something like Valkyrie, I can imagine just nipping in, because that was a 10-minute battle. They didn't whip the headset off you at the end of it. It was almost like a Titanfall match round. It's 10 minutes, then you can go back in. I can imagine that being quite Moorish. You just want to get back in. But then I didn't have any ill side effects in terms of queasiness or anything like that, so I've got no problems. Whereas a friend put it on and 30 seconds later they were wanting to run away.
But I think so much of it's going to depend on your mood and the kind of day that you've had and other stuff like that. And look, I'm not trying to rain on its parade or anything like that, or poo-poo technology that I've not even tried. I am sceptical about, you know, how long you can use it for, and
it should be horses for courses though, because I think everyone talking about looking at Kinects this week and everything everything that's come out about Kinect this week has said it can and can't work, but it's horses for courses. I think the Oculus will really work when you have games designed for it. I don't think it should fit onto everything. I don't think everything in the next generation should be looking into VR, because for one, it will lose its special qualities, but also it just doesn't suit things like Tetris, things like Threes. You know, it needs to have things built for it.
Do you know what? I tell you my fear. My fear is that when you spend that amount of money on a product, you're going to want to shoehorn it into absolutely everything. Everything.
But wasn't that the problem with 3D? You look at 3D movies nowadays, and they do shoehorn it into everything, and it just doesn't suit most of them. They're just trying to grab the cash cow that comes with that tag.
Listen, you don't need to convince me. I think I totally agree with your standpoint. It's just dubious as to whether the execs over there at Facebook are going to sort of play the long game and be quite measured with it, or whether it will be, you know, trying to shoehorn into everything. And also, you know, surely we're going to be sort of instantly straight away on these headlines of teenager plays for 12 hours straight and lobotomizes himself.
Forgets how to live in real world.
I don't know if it's just teenagers. I mean, I don't know. I like to consider myself a pretty forward-thinking person and adopting new technology a lot of the times, but I just cannot see myself, and maybe this is just the old man in me talking there, but I can't see myself sat there with the headset on and headphones on, completely cut off from the outside world. I mean, I'm completely willing to cut myself off from the outside world quite often. But that seems, and like you say, like there's been days where I've played Fallout 3 for like, you know, I got a day off from work, I ain't got nothing to do. I sit down, and next thing I know, 7 hours have gone by. I cannot imagine myself doing that with a headset on and headphones on. Like, am I going to take that off and like all my stuff's robbed because someone's burgled me?
Your wife's left you, taken all the furniture, taken the kids.
Literally, like the entire world has changed around me because I just had no senses.
I like the fact you think you're going to put it on and turn into Sleeping Beauty. It's just 100 years later, you wake up.
Yeah, you take it off, everyone's disappeared, the whole world, the Omega Man.
But I just don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it is a bit old manny. It's kind of the same concept of, you know, you go to the pub nowadays and everyone's staring at their phones. And it's like, is this... I mean, gaming's already pretty insular with Xbox Live and like internet, and everybody's used to be sitting next to somebody on the sofa, and now it's play over a wide area network or something. And is it just going to turn into us all being in like Wall-E with like floating chairs, looking at like screens on our faces and getting fatter by the second? I mean, I don't know.
I've seen some really nice things done with Oculus though, because there was, I forget which jam it was earlier in the year, maybe the Global Game Jam, but one of the people I follow on Twitter, they did a jam surrounding the Oculus Rift itself, but it was a lovely co-op gameplay. I think it was called Don't Explode, and the chap with the Oculus on can see a bomb, and it's made up in a certain configuration, and then you have like 4 or 5 people around you who have actual physical paper manuals, and they have the chap with the Oculus on has to describe the bomb, and the people with the manuals have to rifle through trying to figure out and explain to him how they can defuse the bomb.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good mix of like old and new. That's amazing actually. I suppose that's the thing. I'm not a developer or anything, so those sort of ideas come out of people's heads, and I just think, wow, okay, that's brilliant. So it's for them to show us what they can do with it.
Yeah.
some people are up in arms that they've put their money in, and certain people have essentially been made billionaires off the back of those donations. And while obviously it's not as simple as that, there is a kind of a big question mark about the whole process and whether they had any commitment to seeing it through, so to speak.
No. You put your money in and you get what you paid for. I told you it was a bad idea. You didn't listen, did you? You still went and you still invest. You didn't invest, you gave him your money, and now you're sitting there expecting stuff back. Well, get ready for the beep sensor. Tough shit. I'm sorry, but that's the way it works. And Kickstarter's a bad idea. I don't particularly enjoy it.
I
so you
really
shouldn't have
don't,
given your money in the first place.
I'm not impressed by it.
I think it needed something like this to happen, though, because I think too many people had a sense of entitlement over Kickstarter. Because was it last year? Just every other news story on most of the sites were Kickstarter this, Kickstarter that, and it just annoyed the hell out of me.
It's everywhere,
and I think,
yeah.
Yeah, and I think things like this and the first big games failing is going to take people, give people the opportunity to have a reality check and realise Kickstarter isn't the silver bullet for everything they want. You don't invest in the company. You don't get the products you ask for sometimes. And the worst thing is people did get products with Oculus. They got dev kits. They got $300 dev kits. So I don't know what more they want from that.
Let's just go around everyone and see if it's something they'd be interested. What price point it would have to be to buy. James, it sounds like you're already well on board with the tech and will get one tomorrow if they're available. How much would it need to be for you to really snap their hand off?
Yes, I think they're shipping at about $300 at the moment, and I would be quite happy to pay that for a good quality PC Oculus Rift. I'm a sucker for technology, though. I'm the kind of person who said, I'm not going to get a Wii U, not going to get a Wii U. All it took was one friend showing me it, and that was it. I was straight down game the next day.
Yay!
If you're a PC gamer, aren't you kind of almost in that headspace anyway? You know, quite into upgrading your graphics cards and making sure the gaming experience is the best you can afford. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean you're throwing all your money around, but I think you're already in that headspace, aren't you?
Yeah, but I honestly wouldn't consider myself a PC gamer. I've upgraded my PC once in the last 5 years. And I think for me it is honestly I don't want to say novelty value, but the added value it could bring to certain games and the new experiences, which is why I really got sold on the DS when it first came out and the Wii U, because of effectively what we were sold by Nintendo is these new experiences that could only be achieved with these pieces of hardware, and I think Oculus ticks that box for me.
Right now Mark is beside himself at the idea that he has a Nintendo buddy on the pod. Mark, I will throw it to you. Is this something you could see yourself spending money on? I mean, you buy all the consoles, don't you?
Yes, in short. I just think, I echo everything James said. It's the idea of getting something unique. I've got both next-gen consoles. Ultimately, kind of 95% of the experiences will be exactly the same there. I think if you can get something for, $299, anything around the £300 mark, to be able to offer something that, nobody else is currently giving you, I just think that's fantastic. I mean, I bought the original Steel Battalion controller because of that kind of thing.
What, the huge, big, massive thing?
Yeah. It cost about 130 or something?
Oh my goodness.
It was fantastic. It was unlike any game I've ever played, kind of before or since.
I was going to say, I'm sure since as well.
Well, yeah, but it was that idea of immersion. I think that's really kind of the kind of thing that I go for in games. It's that moment where you properly lose yourself. The only thing that I worry about is with kind of virtual reality is that kind of, as Leon said, slapping on the headset and putting on the headphones and everything, am I going to feel kind of slightly more self-conscious and less likely to almost commit to that experience? But it's something that no one else is offering. So I think I'm all in.
Niall, how about you?
I'm definitely going to get one. I think when they come out, I've never thought otherwise. Even when Facebook bought them, there was people obviously running around saying that Oculus was dead. But I think reading the news and reading what they've been saying, they're going to deliver what they've promised. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. And if it does hit as hard as it says it will do. If the product is as good as it is, I can see it maybe even replacing monitors. To be honest with you, in some PCs, if it's a cheap enough alternative, you never know. If you get a 4K Oculus Rift at some point, you could end up choosing a Rift over a monitor. And the amount of stuff that it already does support the Oculus Rift, I could see that happening easily. To be honest with you.
What have they promised then, since they've bought the technology?
There was the big to-do, wasn't there? As soon as they got bought out, on Reddit, they made a thread saying, like, this, you're not going to have to sign in to use it, you're not going to have to give your personal information to use it. All these crazy, like, accusations that were thrown at them were kind of just straight away shot down by them. So there was, like, is it going to have Facebook logos on them? And they said that somebody said they wouldn't buy it if it had a Facebook logo on it, and I think they said that was a bit unreasonable, which it's a bit weird, but I don't see why that's a problem.
Is it likely that this tech could be licensed to, say, Xbox and be made available and compatible with that? Or, I mean, as we've seen, Sony have already got their own thing in the pipeline.
I don't see why not, but there's already people coming out and trying to claim that market as soon as Oculus was bought out by Facebook. There was a website called TruePlayerGear.com, and they unveiled this crazy virtual reality called the Totem, and it apparently works with glasses. If you wear glasses, you won't have to use it because it adjusts to your eyes. You can make it night vision because it's got cameras on the front. I feel like there's going to be a lot of companies that just jump on that bandwagon that Oculus Rift. People have lost a bit of trust maybe because they've got in with a shady company. Maybe we can make some money off of it, if you know what I mean. And I don't see why Oculus couldn't go to Microsoft and say, let's make a deal, because when you think about it, they're already working on Microsoft with PC, so it wouldn't shock me if they did, to be honest with you.
And Leon, if they were to bring out a 720p version just for you Xbox One owners?
Oh, nice.
No.
That's cold, man. That's cold.
Are you even on Facebook?
I'm not on Facebook now.
You're not on Facebook or on Twitter. You are the dude that was out there saying, if you put a Facebook logo on this thing, I'm not buying it.
I'm not that dude, but I'm not buying it.
Come on, it's the future. Surely you must be looking forward to the future. You're into all things sci-fi, the Matrix, just jacking
I thought
in.
you wanted a holodeck.
Yeah, that's it.
I do. I want the holodeck, but do you know what? I can stand in the holodeck, and we can all stand there together. And it's like we're not in a holodeck. That's the whole point of a holodeck.
But we could all stand there all with Oculus Rifts on and have virtual versions of us.
As I've said, I'm not particularly feeling that whole cut-off thing. I think that's just a barrier that a lot of people it's going to take people dying and new people being born who aren't used to it not being there for that to become a proper thing. On top of that, I am not spending 300 quid on it or whatever it is. I want it to become as like the Kinect with the Xbox. I want it to be part of a system. I'm not going to go out and buy it on its own. I just don't have that sort of money, and I don't think it's got that sort of value for me personally. I think what you were saying, you can't play games for like 8 hours with it on. I don't see that being possible, but I am open to it.
I'm pretty sure Palmer Luckey has said that, after a certain amount of acclimatization, he can do kind of pretty much long stretches like that with it.
Just the idea that you have to train yourself or get yourself into the groove.
To be honest, I used to have to do that with first-person shooters because I suffered from horrible kind of motion sickness from that kind of thing.
Really?
To this day, I can't play Time Splitters.
What, particular engines or
there's
just
something
first-person?
about the roll of the kind of hand in front of the camera. If it kind of rolls about too much, I start to get a little bit queasy. My head starts to bob a bit.
Might be an FOV problem. If you increase your FOV, maybe you'd be all right.
Can't do that on the Wii U, unfortunately.
No, of course not.
Or you could bend your telly. Get one of those curved TVs, but you'd need to reverse the curve.
So would it matter if it's Project Morpheus? If it was attached to the PlayStation, would it change anyone's mind? Is it the fact that it's a PC Facebook thing? But if it
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's a PC Facebook thing. I think it's just, I don't know. It depends. Let's say the Project Morpheus comes out and it's just a pack-in with the PS4. Then yeah, cool. Why not? I'll take it. But I mean, don't get me wrong. It being Facebook doesn't particularly make it appealing to me because I'm not a huge fan of Facebook. I'm not on it. I hate it when I go to a website and it's like, hey, the only way you can log into here is with Facebook. It's like, guess what, dude? Some people don't go on Facebook. So, you know, that sort of doesn't really inspire me. But, no, I don't know. I think it's just the idea of virtual reality. I'm just not sold on it. I don't know whether it's going to be another fad like, what was it before? Haven't we been through this before with virtual reality and it was like some sort of tank game?
You're not thinking of the Virtual Boy, are you?
Yeah, there it is.
Made people's eyes bleed.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah. But I think I need to try one. This sort of thing feels like one of those things that you can't really judge unless you've tried it.
Well, I think Manny's ordered one, hasn't he? I think Manny has ordered one, and so hopefully in the next couple of months we'll be able to get a go on that one.
Is there a consumer product of that?
Oh, no,
now?
I think he's gone for the dev kit, the full.
The dev kit comes up on the classifieds in the forum every now and then, so...
Really?
Yeah, they're out there. They are out there, available. I think, you know what, I think back to when I was a kid and how my parents used to moan about me being shut up in my room playing games and just not being out and socialising. And then I think about if it was my kid in his room with this thing on all the time.
Hell no.
It's just... Look, I'm excited. I think it's going to be fascinating to see where they can take it, but I think it has to be a very quick hump that we get over. There must be something on the other side of it. The idea of, you know, being so closed off. I mean, I couldn't lock myself away in my office all day, busy working, come and have dinner, and then say, cheerio, wife, just going to disappear for a couple of hours. You know, it's just not very sociable.
I think the first, though, online social experience that if kind of Facebook do use the technology, the first thing that kind of gets people together in that sense could end up, you know, breaking the back of people's reticence to take on this kind of technology.
Candy Crush.
No, but you know, like how Sony
Farmville.
tried with the you know, PlayStation Home and that kind of thing. You know, everyone wants to create almost this kind of Second Life.
Yeah.
Type place. If you had something like that, kind of, you know, virtual tourism, that kind of thing. You know, I can see that there could be kind of educational benefits to it as well. That kind of stuff.
God, the sex industry. Goodness me, can you imagine?
Oh, I'm back in. Fleshlight plus Oculus Rift.
Oh my goodness.
Weird.
Well, at least half of us have just revealed that we know what Fleshlight is. So that's
Yeah, exactly. Don't give me those disgusted noises. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
So, guys, we touched on Titanfall last month. We played the beta and we were very excited for the full game. Some of us already had it at the time. Someone taken a leak.
No, that was me pouring more alcohol. Sorry.
Leon, Titanfall, your review hit the site and you think it's all right.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't know. It's quite strange. I think I've just kind of got very used to playing it very, very quickly. It's a very, very good game, but it's kind of slotted in to my wheelhouse quite nicely. It's just replaced Call of Duty. So I've gone through a few days without playing it now, as I've gotten over the hump of just playing it day after day after day. I've regened a couple of times, and it's just nice just to have that first-person shooter that is your go-to game sort of thing.
Anyone else pick it up as well? I mean, a silly question. I guess everyone here's got it. Mark, I know you've been playing it as well.
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of it. The bug hasn't quite caught me yet. I enjoyed the beta a lot. I don't know. Probably not going to catch you if it hasn't caught you by now. Well, that's the thing is, I kind of expected something. There'd be a little bit more to the general kind of campaign of it, and that there'd be, you know, some elements that, you know, we didn't see coming. I honestly assumed there'd be some kind of an ace up its sleeve, but it is basically exactly as it represented itself in the beta.
It's super disappointing, the campaign. It isn't a campaign. They call it a campaign, but it's a series of multiplayer matches.
I tried to have a go today just because I knew that we were sitting down to talk about it. And because I think I've got up to level 40, 41 before actually having a go. So I went in, just everyone in there was on level 1, which I thought was just brilliant. The actual campaign, yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, pointless.
It's a radio play over a multiplayer match.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's just really weak and a bit of an odd gesture, I think. If you're going to do it with a little bit more craft than that.
I mean, I'm going to hold my hands up. I haven't actually got Titanfall. So, I mean, does the lack of a campaign really hurt it, or does it just leave them somewhere to go next time round?
I think that it leaves them somewhere to go. I mean, it doesn't hurt it. I'm sure they're looking at spreadsheets of people like everybody plays 20,000 hours on the multiplayer and 5 on the single player, so why would we pour all of our resources and effort into that? But at the same time, I do like single player FPS campaigns. I'm quite a fan of those, seeing what you can do with just a single player story, and I enjoy story and that sort of stuff. And I was disappointed that there just wasn't more of an effort. I mean, they put in a campaign, but they really may as well have not done. I mean, I don't know what I expected them to do, but just some more objectives, maybe some
more
cutscenes.
objectives and scenarios within those maps. I mean, they're all quite a richly detailed world in themselves. So there should have been plenty more that they could have done with it.
I expected
sort of
some
timed
kind
events.
of contextual events or something like that. I mean, I honestly finished the campaign on whichever side I was on, and they said, right, and play it again, playing as the other side. And I honestly thought, I don't know which side I was on.
I don't know what happened. I couldn't tell you what happened.
They're similar uniforms, and they're all shouting something about kind of, I don't know, about the world, and it was just generally kind of sci-fi military shooter stuff, and lots of people shouting at you to do something. But because it just plays out like different multiplayer matches, it doesn't actually matter.
I guess it seems a shame, because I did play part of the beta, and that tutorial section made it look like there was quite a bit of promise with you and your Titan. The fact you could get out, go and unlock doors, and the Titan would have to look after itself. It looked like it could give a different angle for a lot of single-player story situations, set pieces. So
the colours, I've got to say, the colours in the tutorial section did seem a little bit more Portal-like, and it looked more kind of sci-fi and glossy, and I was kind of hoping for some more along that line as well.
I think you get some glimpses, and they're very, very brief. I mean, at the beginning of a match, they are the coolest things that happen. Instead of just everyone spawns and runs away, there's a little cutscene, and oh no, your dropship's been hit, and everybody flies out the dropship, and then the dude drops down in the Titan and opens his hatch and talks to you. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Spoilers.
Well, barely. Literally, there are no spoilers, because there is nothing happening. It's rebels versus the corporation and fight.
I mean,
that is the entire story.
I always complain when a single player tries to throw in an unnecessary multiplayer just to try and get another tick on the back of the box. So, in some respects, I really, really respect what the studio's done for going, actually, no, we are just primarily multiplayer, so why bother with a full complex single player when, as you say, the stats prove that half the people who buy it won't play it?
I think the problem, though, with that is that everything that's come before is just, they're basing it almost on multiplayer military shooters. And one of the big laws for this is the kind of mech angle of it. And I think everyone would like some kind of a bit more of a sandbox or a campaign or whatever it is that you could play about with the mech in, rather than just being in the competitive field.
If you're going to go to the trouble of creating one faction, another faction, the technology, the way it drops in, you're sort of almost halfway there to building this narrative anyway. So it kind of seems a bit of an odd fit. Why not just call it Super Smash Titan Ball and just call it some futuristic TV show from the future, and that's it. Do you see what I mean? Why go to all that trouble if you're not going to have the world sort of populated and the canon built around it,
The only thing is, because you've got limited resources, and do you know what? If you give me a choice of the Titanfall I have now, or a Titanfall with a single player that doesn't play particularly as well, I'll take the one I have now. Because that central core of Titanfall, that shooting people, jumping in a Titan, every 2 minutes something new, the different weapons, upgrading, all that sort of stuff, that is so tight, that is so addictive, and that is so well done that I can forgive not having a single player. It bugs me, don't get me wrong, it does bug me, but I would rather not have one and have the super tight kernel of a game experience that we have than a perhaps worse game and loads of resources being spent on a single player.
Okay, well, let's segue into the balance then. I mean, that's already been a very, very big part of the success of this game, I think. We all be in agreement that what it's doing well is the balance, and it's really nicely balanced.
It's balanced, but it's asymmetrical at the same time. That's the good thing. There's always... The problem with Call of Duty is it's become so convoluted, and this perk offsets this perk and this offsets that, but it's just not meaningful anymore. Whereas the Titans and the way the pilots are super nimble and the Titans are big and bulky but super powerful, it gives everybody a sense of power no matter what you're doing. It seems like you're always doing something cool in that game. Like every 30 seconds something awesome is happening. You're dropping in a Titan, you're sniping someone from across the map, you're throwing an arc charge at somebody. It's just there's never ending cool things to be doing. You can lose a game and still feel like you had a good time.
What's your go-to gun so far? Listener, I don't know. There may be a chance that you've ever played Call of Duty with Leon. I've played Call of Duty with Leon a lot, and he is a beast. He's a beast.
I used to be. I'm not spectacularly great anymore. But because I liked Call of Duty and I like sniping Call of Duty, the Kraber sniper with an ACOG scope for me is the way forwards.
That is a throwback, isn't it? That's a real throwback.
It is. That's basically what I do. I like killing you in one shot.
What kind of scores are you racking? Sort of, grunts and spectres, minions. How many minion kills versus pilot kills versus Titan kills are you getting around?
I don't know. It's kind of strange. Like I say, I don't really keep track, to be honest with you, because I'm not playing it massively competitively. I mean, I've had good games where I've got like 30 grunt kills and say 10 pilot kills or something. But it's not really something that I'm going. Because it doesn't have that one element, in Call of Duty you're just killing people, so you're very conscious of the fact that you killed 20 and died 10. Whereas in Titanfall, it's more about, I got 4 Titans in that match, and then you look at the scores afterwards and you're like, I only killed 2 Titans and 4 people, but I felt like I was just doing stuff all the time. So I think it's less based on that super competitive I killed you, and it's more based on the I did this cool thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And do you like the variation between the pilot gameplay and then when you step into a Titan?
I love that. I think that is the core of the game, and that is what makes it so special. I think the pilot gameplay, honestly, to me, is actually more fun because that's where more of the skill is, more of the twitch skill, I should say. I'm enjoying and I'm practicing jumping, shooting people in midair and stuff. That's kind of what I'm enjoying. Like, did you see that headshot I just got? Because I'm better than you. But at the same time, the Titans, it's more of a strategic kind of. That's more of a Halo gameplay style, where you're taking cover, letting your shields recharge, and taking out a Titan, and then looking for somebody else. And it's that they're two very different play styles, but it gives you that, when you get bored of doing one side, you can just flip over to something else, and there's that variety which keeps the game going.
And is it me? Am I alone, or is the epilogue just so much fun?
Oh, the running to the dropship.
Running to the dropship, running away with your tail between your legs, or flip it the other way if you're the winner, chasing those bad dudes out of town. I think that's really fun.
Or cloaking up and hiding in a corner.
Is that how you roll?
Yeah. They won't take me alive.
It's a cool way to end a match, definitely. And there's that one achievement, which is kill every member of the enemy team during the epilogue while they're going for the dropship, which sounds impossible, quite honestly. But no, it's better than just you lost, tough shit.
James, you reviewed Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero for us this month. This is the first outing on the Xbox One, is that right?
Yeah, first Xbox One and PS4, and a brief outing it is. It's very short, as you may have heard already. I think, this is my first ever Metal Gear that I've ever played, and I got to the end of the first mission, and when the title started rolling, I was left a bit confused by it all. I was expecting a lot more, because I think I'd avoided a lot of the pre-release hype for Ground Zero, so I was expecting it to be a complete game. And whilst it's a fun experience, it's just over far too quickly. It reminds me a lot of the old Splinter Cell, like a very hardcore stealth game. Talking to others, it seems like they've trimmed down Metal Gear quite a lot, so it's quite a pure, clean experience when it comes to stealth. So, skulking in the shadows, sneaking up behind people.
Has it got the the classic. Yeah.
Yes, it's still got the exclamation marks popping up over your head.
Awesome. I can dust off my sound effects.
That's got to feel out of place, right? In such a realistic, look how cool this game looks, and oh, there's an exclamation mark as he hides in a box.
Metal Gear Solid for you, isn't it?
Well, true.
I couldn't find any boxes, that's all I'll say.
Whoa. They have the sound effect, but no boxes.
I probably just haven't looked hard enough.
Unbelievable.
But honestly, the star of the game, though, I think is the actual environment itself, because most of the stealth... I do enjoy stealth games, but most of the ones I've played up until this point have been quite linear, and it seems for most of them there's a predetermined route to go through, or at least a very narrow corridor, at least, which you can skulk through. But the level that you get in Ground Zeroes is huge. It's a massive military / Guantanamo Bay style camp. And the objectives they give you let you crisscross all through it, but the absolute scope gives you so many avenues, ways to try it. It's brilliant. So if it's an actual precursor to the actual game and all the levels like that, then I think it's going to be something to look forward to.
Yeah, sorry, just to give me the backstory here. So this is what a full game, or it's a cut down game, or it's a preview.
It's basically a paid for demo. I don't think there's any way you can describe it other than that. It's a single level with 2 objectives in the story mission. So that's all the story mission, and then there are 3 or 4. I think there's 4 extra unlockable missions that you can get afterwards. And they try their best to try and weave in special intros and little storylines for themselves. But if the main storyline is talking about characters that already exist in the Metal Gear universe, and then the extra missions are just go and kill these 2 snipers, go and extract this chap. So it's just basically recycling of the same level, just trying to do it in different ways and at different times of day. So it at least shows off how nice the new Fox engine is. It adds a certain amount of replayability to it, but it's after you've been in there for about 3 hours, you begin to know the place inside out, and because there's no progression, you don't feel like you're getting anything from it. I think after a point.
So is there another game due?
Yeah, there is the Phantom Pain, but I had a look and I don't know when that is penciled for. I think the wiki article hasn't even put a year next to it, so I think it's going to be some way off.
I think that's the point, isn't it? They're basically, he was making that, and who is that? Who is it who makes those games?
Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, and they said to him, so when's this new game coming? And he went, dunno, while away. And they went, well, you should probably put something out now if you want to keep making that. And he went, okay, how about I take this one level that we've just finished and you can put that as some sort of paid demo,
so
just to get people off his back, basically.
It's sort of like Konami's version of Kickstarter, really.
Yeah, exactly. He's just basically buying himself more time to get that full game finished. That's all I see this as.
Oh, but it's Gran Turismo that's done something similar. Gran Turismo keeps releasing the prologues, and this smells very much like that, in the sense that we're going to put this out to try and keep the fans happy while we get the full game done.
That's the point, though, isn't it? It's fan service. To kind of view it as anything other than that is kind of almost meaningless. It's anyone who was interested in the game is going to buy it anyway, no matter what happens.
What is it though? 25 quid?
25 quid on next gen, and I think 20 quid on the old gen.
For how many hours gameplay?
Well, I got about 3 or 4 hours from it, but I was really scraping it by the end.
It should be a demo. It should be a game packed in with something else. Like when Halo 3 beta came with Crackdown or something?
Yeah.
It should be something like that, not pay us 25 quid for it.
I mean, in some ways it worked. I mean, this was, as I say, my first Metal Gear, and it makes me want to play Phantom Pain, because by the end of it, although I wasn't itching right there and then for more, it's definitely made me intrigued for what happened next. But, sort of at the end of Portal, when it was only 3 hours, and that was amazing, I want to carry on. They've ended it, but it was so short and sweet, but perfect. It's just that Ground Zeroes didn't really get into its stride by the end of it. It started showing hints at what was possible.
Traditionally, they're not that kind of... They're very long, epic games anyway. So it would have been very hard for them to... Or certainly a break from the norm for them to do that.
I would say, though, that when I say I finished it, the first level after an hour, I finished the first level after an hour, and then the cutscene went on for about 20 minutes after that. So they still managed to squeeze some epic into there.
That's a Metal Gear Solid game, all right. I actually quite like the idea of developers sort of just disappearing into the wilderness to make a video game, like Apocalypse Now style, just...
Set up some tents in the wood with a portable generator.
Yeah, and just go mad and just go crazy, see what comes out of it.
That's not how it works, though, is it? And that is
No,
the
exactly,
entire
of course,
problem
yeah,
that this is indicative of. The whole AAA, throw as much money as somebody, you got shareholders looking over your shoulder saying, when's it coming out, when's it coming out, when's it coming out? So you end up throwing out a fifth of the game, not even a fifth, a tenth of the game, just to keep them happy. I guess it's only getting worse, isn't it, really, with these new consoles and the assets being so high res, and 15 studios, every single Ubisoft studio works on an Assassin's Creed just to be able to get it finished. How do you compete? And I guess that's why the indie market's booming and stuff. But is the AAA game a bad idea at this point? I don't know.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's just the amount of studios that can afford, both in terms of money and resources to do them, is diminishing. I think we're going to find more of the mid-range games come back, because we haven't really seen those since like Xbox Original and PlayStation 1. Last generation, it seemed to just go between arcade games and AAA. There seems to be there surely is a mid-range that's about to come back.
Need a wet too.
I'm going to say mid-range is just...
It doesn't sound attractive, but I can't see financially how...
Put it into context. What kind of titles are we talking about when you say mid-range? Because I've played plenty of games which were kind of not really anything particularly big, but ended up being great fun. And I'd quite happily take 7 to 10 hours out of a game. That to me is that's fine. I don't feel it needs to be a 30 or a 40-hour game.
Well, the odd thing is, I don't think I'd class a thing like Walking Dead. Walking Dead seems to be somewhere half between indie and AAA for me, because it's not. Yeah. It's a very good game, but it's not the most polished in terms of assets or things like that. It seems to be a production line that comes behind it, but I don't think you could call them indie. I don't know. It's that sort of scale.
No, back in the kind of PS2 days and the original PlayStation, there seemed to be a whole raft of games that you would recommend to people that you would say, it's a fantastic game, but it looks terrible, or that kind of thing. An interesting game.
I think that's what I'm getting at.
We've kind of lost that now. If a game looks absolutely, it's janky animation or something like that, people just kind of tend to kind of just turn their nose up at it.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to get the right game here, but I played Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Did anybody else play that?
Yeah.
And it was like the arcade game version of Call of Juarez, which quite honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Call of Juarez. Pretty terrible games, to be honest. But Gunslinger was an awesome game. It was an arcade title. It's kind of like cel-shaded, but it was like a budget Call of Juarez game. But it was amazing. It was so good. So that sort of stuff. I mean, the new consoles have lost the concept of arcade, really, or indie game or something. Everything's just a game at this point.
Well, I think it's almost like they're happy for the indie market to have free run at it, and they're just concentrating on that big $1 billion game.
But it's also happening the other way as well. Like, what is it? Child of Light, is it, by Ubisoft? That is, it's a massive studio, but it's a small group within a massive studio. I think that's where the middle ground gets filled. It's kind of like an indie type mentality within a big organisation. So they've got the resources, right. Kind of like what I assume Ken Levine's doing at Take-Two.
The irony.
He's a big guy with huge talent, but he wants a small team, but he wants the money of the big guys behind him. So I think maybe that's where the middle ground might come across.
£25 not worth it? Is that basically the bottom line, or
I think you're gonna have to
be in the bargain bin?
I think you're gonna have to struggle with. I would struggle playing £25 for it. It's a good game, but it's how many pounds per hour you're willing to put into it.
Well, if nothing else, I get to roll out my sound effect again.
I really hate when I have to try and compare a game to a price tag. I think I don't have to do it very often, but this is an absolute kicker, because it's not just the fact. it's not so much the price, it's the fact that it stops before it gets going. And I think that's my biggest bugbear with it, that you can see the potential there. So as a demo, it works. But I think it's only going to be Metal Gear fans that can really justify putting that cash to it.
And last time I checked, there wasn't a massive population of them. I just think it's a public relations own goal, really. You know, something like that. You can put it out for nothing, or like Leon suggested, package it with another game, and hopefully build a bit of hype for it. You know, the good old fashioned way.
Yeah, didn't they have the? I'm thinking of Virtual On.
Something sold great guns when it had the Metal Gear 2 or 3 demo in it, didn't it? I can't remember it.
Right, quick to Google. Zone of the Enders. Yes.
There we go.
That was from memory, I'm just saying.
I'm quite looking forward to if it comes out on PC, because Kojima's been saying that there's a possibility that he's going to port it over, didn't he? So I wouldn't mind a Metal Gear Solid on my PC. Now that I haven't got a console, next generation console, now I haven't got one of those, I wouldn't mind seeing Metal Gear Solid 5 on there. It'd be something that I'd definitely buy on PC.
I haven't played one of the games in years, and the cutscenes the last time I played were just all too much for me.
I'm definitely bored of Solid Snake's story, but obviously it's coming back to Big Boss, isn't it? So I would like to play a bit more as Big Boss.
I think just a Metal Gear soundboard for me would just be the ultimate prize.
I played the Wolf Among Us yesterday. The episode came out.
I haven't. Is that 3 or 2?
3.
Yeah, I still haven't played 2.
Oh, come on, get with it.
I know. I played Walking Dead 2 the other day.
I've sort of fallen out with The Walking Dead a little bit, to be honest with you.
I can never fall out with The Walking Dead, it's amazing.
I'm a bit bored of that setting, though. That just zombies and apocalypse, and it's just been done so much. I'm still enjoying it.
Is different. It's kind of like a different kind of neon vibe.
That weird sort of noir 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that.
How are you liking it then? How's episode 3?
I think it's great. Episode 3 was really, really good, except I've been reading a lot of reviews and things about it, and the part that I really didn't like was the ending, but that's the part that everyone has been praising, saying like it was really amazing.
So without spoiling things, I know how episode 1 ended, and
Yes.
that was massively surprising.
But then they had that really long wait, didn't they?
They did. Now, has it carried on that kind of subverting your expectations thing?
Episode 2 was a bit disappointing, but then there was that rumour going around that was this wait a bit of indicative of a bigger thing, like were they arguing, or did they not know where to take the story, or did someone guess who the murderer was, which there is quite a lot of evidence to say they made the murderer a bit obvious, so they had to change the story around a bit. And the next time on Wolf Among Us clips from episode 1, they never happened in episode 2, so that's the evidence basically for they have changed the story a little bit just to make this new murderer and make the story a little bit different. But episode 2, it's a bit disappointing, to be honest with you. It didn't carry on as well as episode 1 did.
Is the gameplay the same as Walking Dead?
It's pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, it is the same, but I guess that's another question I'd ask you is, playing episode 1 after playing The Walking Dead, obviously it was very much the same, but it felt like they were just better at it. You know what I mean? Like it felt like a more evolved version of it. So are they still doing that? Are they still kind of honing that craft and getting better at it, or is it just kind of stagnated a little bit?
I think the characters are a lot more interesting this time around. It's not. I'm not saying that the characters in The Walking Dead are interesting, because they are, but it's just the idea.
Those zombies are so dull and lifeless, aren't they?
The idea of Wolf Among Us, these sort of like these fairy tale characters and everything, and in a sense you already know their characters, and it's interesting to see how that's subverted. These sort of like preconceptions you have maybe about like Snow White and Bigby and stuff like that. How they subvert those sort of ideas in your head, and how seedy and horrible Fabletown is and everything.
I was going to say, this is based on
concept.
Fables, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
It's been years since I've read comic books, but I know the series and I know it's very well regarded.
I do like them. They're good comics.
it's really good source material. It's like that's the thing they've been really good at. You know, Walking Dead, amazing source material, and they've done a good job translating it. Fables, good source material, good job translating it. Where I'm kind of falling off the bandwagon a little bit is the Borderlands Telltale game.
No, I'm not too keen on that.
And I'm just...
I didn't realise there was enough lore in Borderlands for to actually fill that in. Have they actually said what the storyline's going to be for that?
The universe in Borderlands is massive. They can make it fit anything they want, really. I think it's got enough personality and enough of a foundation to build on.
I think that's the trouble with me, though, because like, at least with Walking Dead and Fables, there's a very, I guess, almost stable universe that they're set in, so you almost know the rules and what's going on and what's believable or not. Whereas Borderlands just seems a bit batshit crazy, and I'm not sure how that's going to translate well into that style of game. Because it sounds like there could be too many curveballs. I mean, it looks like it could be hilarious.
Have you played much of Borderlands?
I played about 12 hours of the first one and then about 20 of the next.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you feel like that after playing that much of them. I think there's probably so much there. I mean, they could focus on all these different parts of the world, or niches within that universe. I think it could be interesting. I've got high hopes, actually.
Definitely interesting. I'm just wondering how they must be putting a twist on their own formula. Hopefully more down the comedic Sam and Max route.
I don't think the template's rigid enough. The Walking Dead and Fables are very rigid. This is what's happening in the world. These are the characters. These are the rules of the world. Borderlands, I think they're going to have a bit too much free reign. Now, I'm not saying they don't have the skills to make a good story within that. I'm just saying it's a bit of a gamble.
It's all down to the writers, isn't it? They're very proactive with getting, bona fide screenwriters in, and I think that's the best foot forward for this. So if they get the right talent, why not?
I just don't want them to stretch it. It's like the Lego games or something. It's like Lego games were great, everyone loved them. Then they started churning out 3 a year, and people are now sort of going, I don't want another one of these, except for Steve, who loves playing.
I was going to say, yeah.
How that guy plays so many Lego games in a year, I do not know. I can't play one. I've not enjoyed a single one of those. But I don't want Walking Dead, that style of a game. Are they going to do was there a Game of Thrones one?
Yeah,
there's one coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to just stretch themselves so much and dilute this good thing they've got going that I'm just get bored of it.
I think I'm just still bitter about the way they destroyed Jurassic Park.
That's true, yeah. That was just before they blew up, wasn't it?
They're probably bitter about how they destroyed it as well. I think there was a lot of disappointed people with the way it panned out.
Would you play it if they redid Jurassic Park in the Walking Dead template? Would you do it again?
Only if it had Oculus support.
But I am excited about the Game of Thrones one, because I've read all the books, and the show's not terrible, but yes, I do prefer the books.
A ringing endorsement for TV there.
But
are you watching Series 4?
Yeah, I've seen the first episode. How's
that incest going?
It's not there anymore. Are you talking about who I think you're talking about?
Don't talk to me about Game of Thrones, dude.
How many episodes have you watched?
Sorry, I instigated that conversation and cut you off. I watched the first series, went, this is cool, watched the second series and got a bit bored of it, and then I've not watched it since.
I think you need to read the books.
The books are good. The books are good.
They're incredible.
See, I would say it's even lost me now. I used to be a massive fan of it, but I've just...
What? You were the biggest fan of it. You were there telling me I was crazy and I should be watching it, and here you are saying that you're not watching it anymore.
Well, it's not that I do watch it. I just watched the episode the other night and I'm just like, God, I'm just a bit tired of all of this shit, really. Why can't you just all get along,
And there's your ending.
Are you not a bit tired of... I'm a bit tired of Walking Dead as well.
Oh, no, yeah, I am, definitely.
I guess it's what you like,
it's not been good for ages. It's just...
You guys like Game of Thrones or whatever, you like that kind of orcs and goblins and dragons thing.
The sneer in his voice.
Yeah.
Same as it was with Skyrim. Everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's what you like. Like, I can play a million sci-fi first-person shooters or zombie games. Like, that's fine. I admit the fact that I have an endless appetite for that.
Have
some people
any of you guys
like
been following, watching True Detective?
Oh, amazing.
Isn't it fantastic?
No.
So good.
What's that, sorry?
What is it?
True Detective.
Still blank.
Oh my God.
I don't have Sky.
Okay, this is the TV show to catch up on, fellas. I assure you. It's got Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson, as a pair of kind of hard-boiled detectives, and that's all I really want to say about it. It's just fantastic, very engrossing, very deep, and it has that one more episode factor. And the next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you got to be up for work. But
there's only 7, isn't there?
I think it's 8 episodes, maybe.
8, yeah.
8.
And then season 2 is. I love it when stuff is just short and fleeting, and we are not going to make any more of this. We're not gonna wring it out and get as much as we can out of something. It happened, and you missed it, and too bad.
Maximum
it was
impact.
amazing.
Yeah, no, it's
So
very good. I
ended?
highly recommend it. Well, the first season's done.
But
no one really
have
knows.
they said that there's only going to be a finite amount, though?
But season 2, there is a season 2, but it's a completely different story. It's 2 new, completely different actors.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if that's the case, that is the one thing
Exactly.
I absolutely hate is just thinking that it's going to be open-ended.
Nope, it's a self-contained story. At the end, they go away, and it's like, because it's big actors. It's like Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. They don't want to do a TV series. They're movie actors, but they've done 7 episodes of something, and now there's all this speculation of who's going to be the next one. And my favourite pairing so far is Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. That would be amazing.
Very juicy, very juicy. But yeah,
So
that TV series, it reminded me of Gabriel Knight. I don't know if you ever played those games back in the day. They were point-and-click adventures released by Sierra. I don't know if you remember Sierra. I think it was Sierra. But anyway, it was all set in... Yeah, that studio. I'm sure it was them. And it was all set in New Orleans and the Deep South and the occult and voodoo and stuff. And it was just so atmospheric and so deep. And this show really seemed to capture that vibe. And I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of all those other plodding series that we were talking about earlier, this one will really take you on a ride. It's fantastic.
You know what? Even though I just said I don't want them to dilute it, I think Telltale could do a really good True Detective
exactly
game.
what I
I think it could work really well.
It's just that, drip feeding you little tidbits and, revelations and twists and turns. Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love that?
It is all down to the writers, though, isn't it? You always get the feeling that if they keep asking their writers to do the same time and time again, they will run out of ideas. So it's almost a solution for them to bring in new writers each time, especially when you try and go diverse as going from Game of Thrones to Borderlands.
But I'm fairly sure that's what they do, isn't it, Leon? They hire screenwriters in on an episode-by-episode basis. I mean, sometimes they might end up doing multiple episodes, but these guys are normally doing TV or film, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Gary Whitta, who used to edit PC Gamer magazine?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then he wrote Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, which was crazy. And he did a couple of episodes of season 1. So yeah, they do get people with good talent in to do it. So hopefully, yeah, I mean that's what keeps it fresh for them.
Any more for any more?
The only thing I've got is the announcement of the Amazon Fire TV set-top box. If anyone has any tuppence on that.
Amazon Contender, go on, Mark.
The Nintendo Amandroidazon.
Yeah, or Fire TV for short.
Yeah. They missed a trick.
Shouldn't it be 1 on the end of that?
720.
Yeah.
But you know what's really bugging me about that is even Amazon are kind of saying, "Oh, games is just a bonus. It's not the main pushing point of that system." Which, if I was Double Helix, I'd be kind of pissed off.
But that's it. I can't understand why they say that after buying a developer specifically for this. So they must have some ideas. They want some exclusive content for it. But I can't see it doing any better than like the Ouya, because it's just another Android box under the telly.
Well, they're trying to sell it as it's primarily sold as a kind of streaming box, and so they're desperately scared that it will get filed away in kind of wherever it's sold as under just as a games console. In which case, people will kind of turn their nose up at it and just go to a Roku or something like that. They're kind of walking that tightrope of we want it to be everything to everyone, but just God, don't say it's just a games console for geeks.
But I can't even understand why they're wanting to release a separate streaming box, because if you look at most smart TVs now, they come with Netflix, YouTube, and all that built in. So it seems odd that they're pushing it in that direction? Considering they own, Love Film, don't they? So they surely put it in apps in so many tellies nowadays.
The US is a different beast, isn't it? And it's a far more open market, and they're a much bigger player as well than Amazon are here. You know, in the States, it's firmly Netflix and Amazon going head to head, and you know, then maybe Apple for their video on demand stuff. So I think it's kind of more of a relevant product for over there than it is here. But I mean, the whole Android set-top box games console thing to me is a non-starter anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, who knows? They might crack it. I think if you've got the store behind it, which they almost certainly have, then you know you're halfway there.
But they stole Double Helix. You stole Double Helix to then say, it's not that big a part of it. What? They were doing great. Killer Instinct is amazing. They could have done a season 2, and don't get me wrong, Iron Galaxy have been brought in. They're going to do a great job. I'm sure it'll be fine. But seriously, why have you bought all these developers and said it's going to be a great gaming machine, and then gone, you can get The Walking Dead on it and play us some Android games on it?
Well, who knows? I suppose, you know, maybe the strategy will change further down the line, but they're investing so much in, you know, productions and, you know, exclusive content at the moment that, you know, maybe it's just a softly approach. You know, let's announce something when we have something to champion, but for now, let's try and shift the focus back to our exclusive TV shows. And
let's join the burgeoning market of small boxes under your TV which stream the same 10 services.
I think, look, that would probably hold a lot more water if it was, you know, a smaller company. But these guys are serious, and they've got that client base, they've got that customer base. You know, everyone who's bought a Kindle, for example, you know, all those middle-aged and older people that have bought Kindles that are already kind of in that.
Yeah, I guess it plays that role as I trust Amazon, therefore I trust the stuff I'll put into my telly for them.
Exactly the point I'm trying to make, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, for people like us and for everybody who is on AVForums, you know, we've been using these products on maybe our consoles or getting, like you say, a WD TV. So it just seems like another device to just throw on the pile for us. So why should we really care?
For me, it really is about I want to see what Double Helix do next, because what they did, Killer Instinct obviously, and then Strider as well. So
Strider's so good.
Yeah, so they've had 2 really great games out in the last 6 months or so, and I just want to know what they're going to do with an Android system.
I mean, I guess it is the first, and in inverted commas here, real developer to work properly on an Android one of these boxes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for now, we've just had crappy phone games ported to your big screen, whereas maybe we'll see what a proper developer can do when they're just aiming for one of these boxes with some vaguely decent specs and get something decent out of it. I mean, who knows?
What's the price point? Have they said? Have they mooted that?
I think it's $100 for just the box itself, and then if you want the very attractive controller, it's $140.
Piece of shit.
You can use a wired
Looks horrible.
360 pad though.
Oh, you can use a 360 pad?
Yeah, I read they were going to allow, you know, third-party peripherals, and a wired 360 pad should work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, by all accounts, the Amazon pad is shocking. So,
I mean, nobody really wants to talk about Xbox One features, do they? I mean, I would, but nobody else.
Well,
wants to,
what exciting features have they gifted you?
We've got the One Guide now. Well, if you're in the preview, we've got the One Guide.
Have you got it?
Which
Are you in the preview?
I am in the preview. I am in the preview. Have you still got an Xbox, Mark?
Yeah, of course I have.
Do you want me to invite you to the preview?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, I'll do that.
Well, you have that power.
I have that power.
How does that
yeah.
work?
There's an app, and well, they've changed it. Before you had to go on the forum and put your name in and put someone's gamer tag in, and then they'd possibly get invited. But now I can just on my Xbox say invite friend, go to my friends list, choose Mark, and invite him. Not that he might get in, but he's in the running for it, sort of thing.
So go on.
Yeah,
what exciting new features has been rolled out?
There's not massively exciting stuff.
Really?
I mean, there is. It depends on how excited you are about it, though. You know, all that TV stuff they were talking about when it first came out. You'll be able to plug in your Sky Virgin / TV watching box
If you're in the States.
And say, go to BBC One, and the Xbox goes to BBC One. Right. We can do that now.
Cool. And what have they sorted out the whole 50 hertz, 60 hertz?
They have. That's totally been fixed.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
there's no. Although I actually didn't have a problem with that, but most people did. So now
in what
we
sense?
can actually.
Because you didn't want to use it, or
No, because it's one of those perception things. Like, when some people go, "Oh, this game's frame rate is 4 frames off," and I can really feel it, and other people go, "I don't know what you're talking about." I had my Virgin box plugged into my Xbox One, which was supposedly running at 60 hertz, and my Virgin box 50 hertz, and I didn't notice any difference. Well, that's my eyes being terrible, I can tell you. But it was absolutely fine for me. But they've changed it so that it outputs at 50 hertz now, and apparently it's much better for everybody else. So there you go.
cool. I'm glad for you guys.
But we're now living in that real future that they were talking about when they announced the Xbox One of go to the One guide, or you don't have to use your actual TV guide, which are always terrible. Sky guides are terrible, Virgin guides are terrible. They're all rubbish. They're all the same thing. Now you can just go Xbox, go to Dave, and it goes to Dave.
Cool.
And it's a small thing, and people go, well, wow, that's not a big deal, but it kind of is.
No, I think it is, and I think at the end of the day, that's what you were promised when that console was announced, and it's about time you had all that to enjoy.
But it's small bits. Now it's adding on stuff like it now controls. I mean, it did before. It controlled my amp and my TV, but it now controls your Skybox as well. So I had a Harmony TV remote, which a lot of people have, which you press Watch TV, and it turns on all your devices and selects the right input. Now I say Xbox on, and everything turns on.
I still show people that, and they think it's magic.
We're all enthusiasts here. We're all members of an enthusiast forum. So, is this how you think we'll all operate our kit in the years to come?
Well, this is the thing. It's not, people say, oh, wow, great, it can do this or something, but it's the small things, You walk into your lounge, you go Xbox on, the Xbox comes on, it turns on all your stuff, you say watch TV, you're watching TV. It's small, and it's not a gaming function, don't get me wrong. Yes, everybody who was like, oh, it's not about games, it's all about entertainment, it's fine. But these extra things that they're adding, and let's be real, Microsoft are doing a real good job of updating this console right now. Yes, it wasn't where it was meant to be at launch, but at the moment they are really kicking ass and bringing all these extra functions and stuff. It's just really nice way of presenting the console, and voice control, even though Kinect is, a lot of people will say it isn't particularly needed for the console and it's not being used in a gaming functionality. As far as navigating the console and using it for your entertainment purposes, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think I can see myself picking one up. I still yet to see that exclusive title that is enough to make me go and buy one for.
Yeah, I suppose you've got the PC, so Titanfall was out on that. How does that look on the PC, by the way?
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great on my Titan, that's for sure.
Great? Looks great? Or looks okay?
No. It runs nice. I think the biggest thing about a game like that, I want to see nice textures and it all runs smoothly, and it does that. It's got lots of kind of lens flares and bits and bobs like that to kind of give it a little bit of added edge, but on the whole the biggest thing for me is just performance, and it runs nice and smooth. But then I've got a very, very expensive graphics card that is not the average, so you'd expect that.
Do you not feel like your graphics card is overkill in today's market?
Have you actually got a Titan?
I've got a Titan, yeah. I game
Holy
at 1440p, so
Nice.
it's certainly not wasted on that. In this office here, I've got a 2.5K monitor, 2560 by 1600p. So, really, that's the kind of place when you plug it in and see what it can do.
I mean, yeah, I suppose in terms of pure resolution, you're pushing it, but I guess you're kind of future-proofing in a way, aren't you? There's not going to be a lot in the near future which is going to push that graphics card as such. But in reality, the games that are coming out these days...
Well, 4K is the thing now. Loads of monitors have been announced. That's going to be the next big thing. And a
Samsung
Titan,
have that affordable one coming out, don't they?
Yeah, a Titan is not going to be enough to comfortably game at 4K.
Again, it's resolution, isn't it? And I'm not saying resolution is a great thing to have, and we're going to fall back into the same Xbox One versus PS4 and 1080p and 720p thing. But resolution is great, and everybody likes a higher resolution if it's possible. But as far as looking good and throwing good graphics at you, it's not the be-all and end-all.
No, of course not.
I think PC supplies a lot more than that, though. I think PC has a lot of things going for it that For me, I was proper console. I wouldn't have even considered getting a PC at one point, and now I've got one. I couldn't imagine having a console, to be honest with you. I just feel locked in a console, whereas on a PC you've got so many opportunities to do whatever you want, and it's so affordable, it's so interchangeable. I couldn't imagine not having a PC anymore.
I wasn't saying PC wasn't a bad thing. I was just simply saying the Titan as a graphics card seems like overkill.
You should see
this market.
Have you heard of the Titan Z?
Yeah, no, I have. Well, look,
$3,000.
Three grand. It's basically two Titans sandwiched together on one PCB.
What's running that? Do you know what I mean? Like, back in the day, you had Crysis, which couldn't run on any PC which was available. Like, what is that game? There is no game like that right now.
Well, I mean, personally, I use them for work. They've got some really, really useful features for accelerating visual effects stuff and video stuff that I do. So
for games.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really be without it. But then suddenly you've got, a very, very nice performance for games as well. So it's a nice offshot. Spending £1,000 on a graphics card is of course overkill. It's definitely overkill. You can have a really fantastic full 1080p, 60 frames a second locked performance off something, which maybe cost you 300 quid for a graphics card. And if graphics is your thing, then that will keep you happy. But then, you'll always have an element where people want to SLI and string 3 or 4 monitors together and go crazy, and they're looked after if they want to do that.
I guess what's the next graphics powerhouse? Is it like The Division or something?
The Division, you've got Witcher 3 coming out. I think on PC, Star Citizen's going to be a big one as well. That's going to be...
Yeah, it's very exciting, that. Very exciting.
I'm quite giddy about that one.
What have they been demoing The Division on up until now? Is it high-end PCs? Because it looks very shiny already.
I was going to say, do we know whether that's... I mean, there's a lot of talk about Watch Dogs taking a bit of a hit, with regards graphics, because it's cross-generational, and I don't think they've actually said yet whether they're going to release The Division on current or what would now be last gen. So that's...
I don't think they are they?
Well, so far I think it's just they've said Xbox One, PS4 and PC, but they were fairly non-committal on what formats it would be on. And so it does sound kind of a little bit like, they're not as far down the line as you'd think.
I mean, you look at Titanfall that's come out on 360, and I think you can see the benefits of it actually splitting the studios. Say, one team does the Xbox One version, one team does the 360 one, and then you haven't got a single engine having the stress of trying to cope with both. You've been able to allow 2 code bases to optimise for each end of the market and go for it. So... If they want to farm out The Division to someone else, then maybe there's a chance it can look really kick-ass whilst still supplying the older generation with it.
I haven't seen the Titanfall 360. How is that looking?
I've only seen high-res streams on it, but by all accounts, looking through the reviews and the comments as it came in, everyone seems really surprised and impressed that they didn't hide it because it was bad. They just hid it because it was taking a while. It seems to have... I wouldn't say obviously it doesn't look as good as the Xbox One version, but it looks as good as it can do on the 360.
I think they hid it because it was good.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because all the 360 people were like, oh, that month, which was meant to be 2 weeks, turned into a month. And now maybe, I don't know, who knows, how many of them went, oh, forget it, I'll just get it on the Xbox One because it took so long.
I love the conspiracy theory, because if they had hidden it and it was crap, they'd have gone, you hid it because it was crap. It was like a no-win situation for them at that point.
Well, these are not conspiracy theories, it's just business. You just make a decision based on what's in front of you and what you think the best is for sale. So
this is true. I also love the fact that we're back in the land of the pre-release trailer, and is it as good as it's going to look? How we had Killzone before? We had that Killzone trailer, and then Killzone came out and it didn't look as good. Now we've got the Assassin's Creed Unity trailer, which everybody's like, that looks amazing. And after Watch Dogs, everyone's going, it's not going to look that good. It's good to be back in this phase. I enjoy this phase.
So that brings another pod to an end. Thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate you downloading. If you have the time, if you could hop on iTunes and give us a little review, that would be fantastic. Massive thanks to Mark.
Cheers, Steve.
Massive thanks to Niall.
Thank you very much.
Huge thanks to Leon.
Cheers.
And a massive thanks to the debut boy.
Thank you very much, sir.
And I understand you're on Twitter as well. Do you want to give your Twitter out?
Yeah, if people want to talk to me, I'm at Big Sheep, all one word.
And I'm Steve_Hillskill. If you want to give us feedback on the pod or make suggestions, and keep an eye, because we'll probably give a shout out saying what game we're going to play next month to see who gets introed first, and see if you can beat James's epic scores.
I'm still burning from that, man.
It's ridiculous. I thought 1,000 would go.
21,000.
Look, I have a nickname at work. It's Trophy Thomas. So,
Wow.
God.
I was delighted to get quadruple figures as well, and then you just come along and do this. It breaks my heart.
I feel I'm not going to be invited back at this rate.
I like it. It's competition for Leon. Massive thanks, guys. Catch you all again next month. God, I'm just a bit tired of all of this shit, really. Why can't you just all get along, you know?
And there's your ending.